to go? Are you happy, Jeff, for us to commence? If there's a few people joining, they should be able to just get straight in late, so that's fine.
Absolutely.
Great. Alistair, you've hit record, so we're recording this session now, which is great. Okay, so thanks to everyone for joining us this afternoon. My name's Liam. I'm Managing Director at Matrix Technology Solutions, and on the call with me is Alistair Johnson. Alistair, you should be able to see him on, he's got his camera on there, he's just waving at us, so you'll be able to see Alistair. Alistair works with us to conduct sales meetings, product demonstration, marketing, that type of thing. And we've run a few of these online webinars, particularly over the last number of months, as I'm sure we're all pretty familiar these days with Zoom and all this type of thing. We've all done plenty of it over the last 6 months. So what we want to do today is to present to you a range of matrix-based solutions for electrical engineering study, electrical installations study. And so I'm going to share with you in a few moments my screen so that you've got a presentation there that we can go through with you, and we can explain what we have to offer. Again, we can answer any questions you've got as I go through this. So don't hesitate to unmute yourself and ask those questions if you have them, or just pop them into the chat. That works for us as well. Once I've gone through the presentation, we also have some product demonstration from Alistair. Alistair is in the office here in the UK, which is where we're based. And so he'll be running through some demonstrations of the products after I've delivered the presentation. Okay. So I think the first thing then would be for me to hop in to the share screen and the presentation. Whilst I'm doing that, I wish everyone a happy Veterans Day, or here in the UK, it's known as Armistice Day. I know that some of you will be working. Some of you maybe don't have students in today. I don't know whether it's a holiday for you guys or not. Okay. Can I get a thumbs up if you can see my screen right now? Yeah, great. I've got a few, so that tells me that we're good there. So we're going to present to you these solutions today, and we're more than happy to take any questions that you've got. An agenda then, first of all. Matrix. Let's just give you a quick introduction to Matrix, just so you're aware of who we are. Some of you may have heard of us, some of you may not. So we'll run through that first of all on the first slide. And we'll then go into a range of equipment that Matrix have, that we develop and we manufacture and produce, called Locktronics. And that's the basis for a lot of what we're going to discuss in this session. And we'll talk about the areas of coverage that we've got. We'll talk about the specific kits and sets of equipment and curriculum that we've got for electrical studies and electrical installation. We will discuss with you the other kits that we have to offer in other areas. We're going to briefly touch on those. Then we're going to give you some more in-depth product information. We're going to talk to you about the curriculum and the lesson plan support that we give. We'll talk about storage of the equipment. We'll run some demonstrations and then give some time at the end for specific questions and answers that you might have. So similarly, as I said earlier, you can give us a shout. If you've got anything throughout the presentation, you can also give us a shout if at the end, if you've got any questions. Okay. And I just noticed a question in the chat about whether this presentation will be shared, and the answer is yes. We'll ensure that the slides are sent to you following on from this, and we're also recording this too. So we'll make sure that a recording of this is sent through for yourself or any colleagues that you've got that might want to see this. Okay. Okay, so who are Matrix is the first item on the agenda. Matrix are a company based in the United Kingdom. We've been around for 27 years, servicing education for that period of time. We sell our products around the world, 40 or 50 different countries that we sell into, and we sell through around about 50 partners and agents. In the US, we have a number of agents and partners, one of which is Tech Ed Systems, who've kindly worked with us to put on this session today. We have products in many different disciplines and areas. They're on screen now: science, computer science products, optics and fiber optics. We have products in many areas of engineering: electrical, electronic, manufacturing, mechanical, robotics, mechatronics. They're all on screen there. And then we also have ranges of equipment for aviation, automotive, and electrical studies, electrical installation being one of those. You can find out more information about everything that we have to offer on our website, which is matrixtsl.com. We'll ensure you sent a link to that afterwards. Obviously, in a short webinar like this, we're limited in terms of what we can show you because of time. So there might be things that you see on the website afterwards that you think, oh, that interests me, and we can certainly chat about that later. Okay. So first of all, then let's talk about what we're discussing today, which is a range of products for the study of electrical installation, electrical engineering. This is mainly based around a range called Locktronics. Some of you may be familiar with Locktronics already. Essentially, the way that Locktronics works is students take a kit, and a kit is presented in a storage tray or a set of storage trays, depending what the kit specifically is. We have a number of kits. We have about 40 or 50 different kits available, all on different topical areas, from simple electricity and magnetism kits through to kits about PIC systems, CAN bus systems in automotive, three-phase systems, and so on. And we're going to talk about some of those today. So students or lecturers take one of the kits. Within the kit, they are given a baseboard, and the baseboard can be seen here with the metal pillars. And then to that baseboard, students design and build circuits. And they do this by following our curriculum. And we'll talk again about the curriculum in this presentation. And we'll also give you access to all of our curriculum, which we do to everybody free of charge through our website. So our curriculum resources are not paid for resources. They're not provided upon purchase of equipment. They're just always there on the Matrix website for you to access. Okay. Students can, from building a circuit using Locktronics, very easily see circuits in front of them. So without the need for using raw components, wires, and having that mess, or having the sort of purchase every year of those components, students can see this system built in front of them. The equipment is manufactured here in the UK by ourselves, Matrix, and so the quality is of a high nature. It's not something that's produced in any other country. It's all produced here in the UK. So that's essentially the kind of simplified explanation for how Locktronics works. In terms of the areas of coverage, I mentioned earlier that we have 40 or 50 different kits in the Locktronics range. Those kits cover various areas of study. They comprise of science. So we have simple science kits, which cover energy and the environment, electricity and magnetism, electrical principles. We have some more detailed electrical engineering kits, which are at various levels, from intermediate electrical engineering through operational amplifiers, transistor amplifiers, sequential logic, combinational logic, and so on. We have electrical installation kits, and they're the ones that we're going to talk in more depth about today on the coming slides. We have kits also for automotive and aviation, and those kits are specific with their own curriculum and content, teachers' notes, worksheets, etc. All of this information is on our website, so you'll be able to see all of these from the links that we send following on from this webinar. So the electrical installation kits, these the Locktronics range, if we go back to the beginning, the range itself has been around for decades in education. It's a UK developed solution in the very beginning. We bought the rights, the brand, and the manufacturing capability for the whole range about 10 years ago. The Locktronics range allows users to be provided with a complete solution. So all of the components they need to complete a particular topic or set of topics in a given area. The kits that we provide are all encased in storage solutions. So you can see there on the right side of the screen that these are the storage bins. There's a slide in a few slides time which goes into a little more detail on these, but all of the components are included in that in those trays so that they can easily be put away at the end of the class or the end of the lab session. Schools can also take inventory of kits and make sure that everything's there at the end of the class. All of the components can be purchased individually for very low prices for the individual components, and therefore you've got the kit that's ready made for you. What you've then got through our Learning Center on the Matrix website are the complete lesson plans, experiments, teachers' notes, student handouts, etc. that you need in order to deliver. So that is essentially what happens here with the electrical installation range.
Liam, if I can jump in for a second. Eastern Suffolk BOCES bought 60 of these kits. And so the kits are generally designed for 2 students per kit to work together. And from an instructor standpoint, you gentlemen may be interested that they close the kit up and maybe 2 kits, depending on the discipline, or it may be just one bin per kit, I should say. And so what Eastern Suffolk BOCES was going to do was label each kit as, let's say, A, then AA. So the instructor could look over at the trolley and see that both bins were returned and that team A has returned both their bins. So just be assured that, we can supply a trolley or we can supply a locking unit that you can roll around the classroom or between classrooms. Thanks, Liam.
Thanks, Jeff. Cheers. Okay, so with electrical installation, we have a whole range of kits which cover various topics. Being a UK company, we begin often by developing solutions that are based around UK or sometimes US frameworks and curriculum. So the levels that I talk about kind of go from level 1, which is the most simple basic level of kit, through to level 4, which is maybe the most complex of the equipment that we have to sell in a particular area. So with electrical installation, we have the level 1 and 2 sets of equipment, which are on the slide that you can see now. We simply call them electrical installation 1 and electrical installation 2 solutions. We have another couple of kits at level 1 and 2 as well. One on electronic components and circuits, and another on transformer construction and operation. In the coming slides, I'll go into a bit more depth and detail on the learning objectives of each kit. As we then move on to level 3 and 4, we go on to more complex sets of equipment. Here we have a set of equipment for study of electrical machines or motors, so motor characteristics and that type of thing. We have a couple of add-ons for that electrical machines kit, which is locked rotor and transformers, which I'll briefly touch upon. We have principles of lighting equipment. We have electrical installation circuit principles. And then we have some more transformer and 3-phase equipment here as well. Okay. As I mentioned throughout, it's worth noting that we have many more kits available than what's in this presentation. Our website, which is on screen now, can kind of explain more of that for you. So let's take a little look in detail at some of these kits before we go on to a product demonstration and show you how these work. So the first kit that we want to introduce you to is the electrical installation level 1 solution, known as the LK5000. This allows students at the very basic level to get used to key principles and understanding of electricity and electronic circuits. Often we are working with students who are, let's say, 16 years of age and have no prior knowledge or understanding of electrical circuits. Maybe they do at the very basic level, but often these key principles, these basic principles, are what they need to be taught before they go on to any study of anything any more complex than that. And so this kit is essentially designed to do just that. It assumes no prior knowledge, and we aim it at students who may go on to become plumbers or electricians. But again, this is at a very fundamental level. The learning objectives cover principles of electron flow, units of electrical measurement, how to use multimeters, the effects of current, simple circuits, series and parallel, that type of thing. Now, on this presentation, and when I send you this, what you'll also find is that if you might be able to just see my mouse cursor just coming in the screen now. If you hover over the curriculum image there, you'll see that that's a hyperlink. That links directly to the curriculum on our website. So if you want to view that particular curriculum, you can do that. What I'm just going to do right now, if you just give me a moment, is I am just going to show you the first curriculum. As we go through the other slides, I won't show you all of the curriculums, or we could be here a while. So I'm just going to share with you another screen. Hopefully, tell me if you can't, but hopefully now you should be able to see electrical wiring 1. And this is essentially the electrical installation level 1 curriculum document. This, once again, is free through our website. This covers an introduction, and then it covers all of these various worksheets in basic electrical installation principles. So you can see some stuff in there, including series and parallel. You can see coverage of bulbs, voltage and current is covered. Also measuring voltage and current using multimeters, for example. If I just go down a little further, you'll hit the worksheets in a couple of moments' time. There's a little bit of theory taught first of all. Okay, but then when you get to the worksheets here, you start to see how they're outlined. So, you know, it's getting the students to build the layout as per below, connecting a power supply, which is supplied by us, and then answering some specific questions relating to that particular worksheet. If I just scoot further on towards the end of the curriculum document, you'll find here that you've got really good in-depth instructor guides as well. So these are notes for you as the teacher or instructor. And essentially these go through each individual experiment, and it will talk about how to set that experiment up and how long roughly each experiment should be taking the students. So if I just go back into the presentation, which you should be able to see again now, on each of these slides, you'll be able to click in on the cover of the curriculum there and see it in some detail. Okay. Electrical installation 2. This is the next kit that we want to make you familiar with a little. Essentially, this kit, it's important to note, meets all of the requirements that the level 1 kit meets. So if you're looking for a kit at level 1 or 2, purchasing the level 2 kit essentially covers what you need for the level 1 curriculum as well. So there's no need for duplication of purchase there. We're not trying to get you to purchase the same things. However, we do sometimes find that people want level 1 kits and they want level 2 kits too, because they want to keep them separate. And sometimes the students will be studying, some students will be studying at level 1 and some at level 2 at the same time. So it's beneficial for them to have both. But I'm just making you aware there. Essentially, what we're doing here is going into a little more detail. Now, Alistair's going to show us a demonstration of one of the experiments in this particular kit in a short while, which is the RCD, residual current device circuit. So that will be interesting for us. But what you can see on screen there are the learning objectives that this particular kit will cover. And again, as well as a photograph of the kit, on the right side there, you've got a link to the curriculum manual on the Matrix website, which you can view when we send these slides out. I won't go into each individual manual because it could end up taking a little while. So we're still here at level 1 and 2, and the next kit is called Electronic Components and Circuits. So this allows students to form simple circuits to understand component operation, and it essentially goes into a little more detail of resistors, of capacitors, thermistors, diodes, phototransistors, AC and DC circuits as well. So again, this is just going up another level for the students but we're still really within the realms of what we call level 2. Okay. We're now getting towards moving on to what we sort of say is the higher levels of study, more like level 3. And the first kit that we've got, again, Alistair's going to run a demonstration in a few moments, but this is a really interesting kit. This is a 3-phase systems kit. What this kit includes is a set of Locktronics components, but more key to this kit than that are, firstly, a very low voltage generator and 3-phase motor. Now, these two components, which you can probably see in the image on the right side of the screen there, run at low voltage. So they just run off your plug top power supply, which is supplied with the generator itself. So they run at just 24 volts. They come they come with the power supply to run them as well, and it allows your students to study about how 3-phase systems work without the need for any 3-phase power in the college or the school. And indeed, this is a challenge that we see across many schools that we operate within, is that they want to teach about how a 3-phase system works, but it's often quite a, for want of a better word, dangerous kind of topic to cover with students that have no prior knowledge of how dangerous that type of system can be. So what you've got here is a kit that will teach about star and delta circuits. It will teach about phase relationships, half and full wave rectification. It will teach about power factor correction. And we also, along with this kit, ship a 4-input oscilloscope as an optional extra, so that the students can see these scope traces when you connect up your analog instrumentation to the system. And we also provide current clamp as another optional extra. Again, Alistair's going to go on and demonstrate this in a few moments. But this is a really interesting kit that we have. Electrical installation circuit principles. Here we're studying about inductive and capacitive reactance, impedance, contactors and relays and solenoids, safety systems and earthing systems. I'm not going to go into too much detail on the kits now, because I think you've probably got a good flavor for the fact that they kind of increase in knowledge as you go through. And the best thing for you to do is to take a look at the curriculum guides, which again are linked through these images in the presentation that we'll send to you. And then you can best take an idea as to what matches your suitability and needs. Principles of lighting is the next one. This is provided alongside a light lux meter, which allows you to take readings of different types of bulb at different types of angles and distances. So the students follow this particular kit when they're going into studying about lighting in domestic and industrial buildings, for example. Okay. Then this kit here is, now we're getting to level 4, the higher reaches of our electrical installation range. Electrical machine system is a new set of equipment that we launched last year, which essentially allows students to study about different types of motor characteristics. Now, they can do that in two ways. Essentially, the students use a control box, which is in the image on screen. They have a dynamometer, and then they connect to the dynamometer a different type of motor. There's about 7 motors in the range, which are on the next slide. Let's take a 3-phase motor, for example. That gets connected up. You connect your banana plugs, the 4mm plugs, into the control box, and the students can take readings in 2 ways. They can do it through a virtual software environment, which we provide for PC as part of the package, or as we see mainly in this type of area of electrical installation studies, the students can also use analog instrumentation to manually take readings, perform calculations, and understand things like speed, torque, and this type of thing of the different types of motor and machine that we have available in the range. So there are 2 ways that this type of product can be studied. But this is certainly a popular area. We would find typically, Jeff mentioned earlier that the Locktronics kits are typically studied 1 between 2 students. With the electrical machines, you know, that we would more often find that the students work in bigger groups, and because you've got various different types of motor, the price point is a little higher for these as well. So you're talking about something here where you might be talking about 1 or 2 units per class would be enough for you to give some good demonstration on this. These are the different types of machines we have available. DC, AC machines, 3-phase, brushless, etc. Here's a system overview. Again, you'll get these slides, but really that just covers off what I explained in the previous slide. And then we have a couple of add-ons as well. I don't necessarily know if these will be particularly useful for you guys at the levels that you're teaching in the schools, but in maybe college, university level, this add-on allows you to work with MATLAB and LabVIEW as like an extra layer of study where the students can look at the algorithms behind the individual motors, and they can start to do that type of thing in more detail. So that's with both this add-on and the transformer add-on kit, which adds on to the electrical machines. We also have a transformers kit in Locktronics form that doesn't add to the motors, and that's available through us too. Couple of last slides then before I hand over to Alistair, who's going to run some demonstration. First of all, this is where you find all of the curriculum. On our website, matrixtsl.com/learning, all of the curriculum for every Matrix product is available here. So you can hop in there and have a review of any of that whenever you wish. We'll send you the links. Obviously, they're also linked, as I've been saying, through this presentation too. I think we've talked quite a lot about the storage, but this is just another slide that outlines all of that for you and shows you how well designed this is. We have kit that is always supplied in trays. What you'll find in the base of each tray as well, as per the right of this slide, is what we call an inlay sheet, which allows you to, at the end of each session, not only make sure that the trays are there, but make sure that the contents of each tray are present as well. So it's really well thought through from that perspective too. And inventory is made a lot simpler for you. Okay, I think then, Alistair, that is the end of the presentation. And so I think you're going to run some demonstration of these products now. Are you ready to go, Al?
Yeah, I'm ready to go. I'm going to, if you don't mind, mute everybody just so that it keeps my screen at the sort of on the main screen. If
just
that makes
before
sense.
Alistair, you do that, I think that I'll just explain to people if you're not familiar with Zoom, but you can pin Alistair's video as the main one. You'll probably see his name Matrix TSL. If you click on the 3 dots on his image, you'll find that pin video appears. If you do that, it will make his video the main video for you to view. And you should be able to see him now, or his setup, should I say. And Alistair, I will hand over to you now so you can run through it. If anyone has any questions whilst we go through this, either about the presentation or the demos, pop them in the chat or give us a shout.
Hi guys, thanks for that, Liam. So what you can see on the Locktronics baseboard is an experiment that you're likely to see in our level 1 kit, although there are parts that are also in our level 2 kit. Now, I'll go into a bit more detail in a moment, but I hope you can see that here we obviously have a lamp. Here is the power supply that basically plugs straight into your mains, and there's various different voltages that you can kick out. I think that's currently at 12 volts, so it's all very safe. This here is a 2-way switch. We have in the middle there an intermediate switch, and we have another 2-way switch. Now, for electrical installation, this is a really great way of showing students how you could turn on a lamp at 3 different locations. So maybe you might find this on a staircase, or possibly on a what's the word? Block of flats or something like that. Yeah, thanks, John. Yeah, so you can basically turn that lamp on at 3 different locations. Lost for words then, guys. Sorry. So you can turn that lamp on at 3 different locations, but it's a nice visual way of showing that, because to students, that's not as simple as that looks. The students can follow the circuit symbols and the circuit diagram and can see how that lamp can be turned on at 3 different locations. Okay, so I'm just going to show you another experiment now. You can see how easy it is to take a circuit to pieces. I'm just pulling off these components so that I can get a bit a pure baseboard. So I'm going to plug the battery back in. This obviously replicates a wire. This experiment is going to be to show you how a fuse would work. So this here is a fuse. There's no connection. Here you've got a lamp, another wire, and another wire. Now, you can see that lamp is currently not turned on. If I put a conductor in between of that fuse, the lamp now turns on, okay? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this wire and I'm going to insert a short circuit there and get a bit of wire wool. Put the wire wool in where the fuse is and cause a short, and I hope that that's visible on Zoom, but the wire wool is burning quite nicely. You can smell that. Now, if you're doing it with students, you probably wouldn't use that much wire wool, but I like fire, so I do. But it's a nice way of showing how a fuse works. There's another experiment that I can show you. I hope it's, again, visible on Zoom. This is how you might see how electromagnetism works. 1 second. So this is a different type of switch. This is a push to make switch. I hope you can see that. So to allow current to flow through this one, you have to push it down. So I'm going to put that there. I'm going to put a wire there. Now at the minute, that push to make switch isn't allowing a connection. So I'm going to put the nail there, half in the coil. When I push down on this push to make switch, it's going to allow current to flow through, and the nail shall shoot into the coil. 3, 2, 1. Yeah, I hope that you can see that. Now, there's a bit of an additional way of showing that. You can put a compass there. It's not totally great to see on Zoom, I must say, but mark my words, when I click down on that push to make switch, the compass is aiming straight at the coil. But that's a really great way of showing electromagnetism for students for what otherwise is quite a hard concept to see in the flesh. This does it quite nicely. So that's level 1. I'm just going to show you an experiment that's in our level 2 electrical installation kit. Just bear with me, guys. 1 second. So as you can see, this takes it quite a bit further than the concepts I've just shown you. Here you've got your power, you've got an RCD here, and this here replicates a fuse board. Is that right? Circuit breaker, should I say. Now here, the RCD obviously senses if there's an imbalance. So if there's a leakage, if I push down on this push to make switch here, it replicates a leakage. Is that right, John? Yep. So if I push down on that push to make switch, you can see there the RCD is lighting up as a fault. Now the fuse has the circuit breaker hasn't triggered, but the RCD has. So I can reset the RCD, and we're good to go again. Now here, if there's a short circuit on this system, this replicates maybe a circuit within your house. If there's a short circuit, watch what happens to the RCD. So the RCD isn't saying there's a fault. It's absolutely fine. It's not. There's no imbalance. But the circuit breaker has obviously tripped. Now I just need to reset the circuit breaker, and we're good to go. But it's a great way of showing how an RCD and a circuit breaker work together in electrical safety in a domestic household, I guess. Anything you want to say on that, John? Have I said that all right? Yep. I'm not an electrician, by the way, guys. Okay, so that's a level 2. Now, obviously, that's one experiment in level 2, but it goes into a lot of other things like Faraday's law. There's all sorts of other bits in that curriculum. I think it's about 70 or 80 pages long. But that's one of the most unique experiments and learning within that book and in that kit. So now I'm going to show you the 3-phase kit, which again is a very unique kit. Bear with me, guys. There's not a lot to set up, but it will take just a moment.
Whilst Alistair's doing that, it's Liam again here. If anyone has any questions that you want us to cover, because I think we've just got 1 or 2 demonstrations left to run now, another 5 minutes or so. If anyone's got any questions, if you do pop them into the chat, we're more than happy to answer those when we do get to the end of the demonstrations. And they can be directed at any of us. Or like we say, feel free to unmute yourself and ask them verbally. It's no problem. Sorry, Al. Thanks.
No problem. Thanks for that, Liam. Now, I don't know if Liam explained earlier, but my role at Matrix until pretty recently has been to visit colleges and universities here in the UK. Now, when I go to an electrical department, the 3-phase kit is always one that they absolutely love for many reasons. The main one being that the alternatives to teaching 3-phase are A, dangerous, B, usually incredibly expensive, and C, they usually require actual 3-phase power, which has trouble, colleges and universities have trouble getting hold of. And once they have it in their labs, even then, it requires special keys to access and things like that. So what we have here, this is the 3-phase generator. Now you plug this straight into your power in your mains, but it kicks out either 6 or 9 volts. I'm just going to bring that close to the camera. You can change the amplitude there, so between 6 and 9 volts. Here, you can change the frequency, so from 0.1 hertz through to 150. Now here you've got your each phase, and then in the middle you've got your neutral. I'm just going to put that onto 9 volts, and that's at 1 hertz. Now you can see here on the Locktronics, perfect rotation. That is so graphical and visual for your students. It's a great way of showing it. I mean, I can slow that down. That's at 0.1 hertz. It's going very slowly, or I can put it up to 50 hertz, which I think is the most efficient frequency for 3-phase. And you can't even see the flickering or the rotation, but I promise you it is going on. Now, half or a third of the experiments for 3-phase are done using Locktronics, but the bulk are done using our 3-phase motor. So I'm going to get rid of the Locktronics for now. Give me just a second. Now this here is our 3-phase motor. Okay, so it's got a line here so you can see when it's rotating. I hope you can see that. Yeah, I'm going to plug this in. You can plug it in either, you can wire it up in either star or delta. This is in star. So I just need to plug in the neutral, the earth. You can see that is spinning. That's now being powered in 3-phase. Now, if I swap around, 1 second, I'm just going to slow it down. It's a bit more visual. There you are. Now, what should happen if I swap 2 of these phase wires? So I'm going to swap the red and the green. There you are. The motor has started going backwards. Yeah, I'll show you. There you are.
Oh, it did.
John's questioning me now. I'm wondering if I was right, and I was. So, that's obviously quite key in 3-phase, that if you swap 2 of the phases, the motors will start going backwards. But that's, again, a hard thing to teach, but it's done really nicely here. Now, whilst a lot of the experiments are done using the motor, Another key component that you will need for this three-phase kit to get through the workbook is a 4-input oscilloscope. We can provide a 4-input oscilloscope, but generally, if you have one anyway, these can generally be used. Now, the reason it has to be 4-input is it needs 1 input for each phase, and you also need a spare because a couple of the experiments require a current clamp. That's for the power factor correction and phase shift. The experiments there require a current clamp. Again, we can provide current clamps, but if you have them already, you can generally use them. Now, I'm just going to plug my oscilloscope in parallel to this motor so we can see what it's looking like on a scope. So there's the oscilloscope, 4-input. Again, guys, if anybody has any questions as I'm doing this, please feel free to ask away.
I think also, Alistair, what I'd be keen to hear from you guys that are on here within the schools in the US is I'd be keen to hear from you how you feel that potentially some of this equipment might fit in with your student outcomes and the learning objectives for the courses that you deliver. So either now or when Alistair's completed the demo in a couple of minutes' time, if you've got any comments on that, I'd be keen to hear them for sure.
Liam, I think you're going to have to make me host so I can share my screen.
Yeah, I'll do that now.
Thank you.
That's done.
Okay, thank you. I'm just going to click share my screen. 1 second. I'm just loading the software for the oscilloscope. Bear with me, guys. I'm sure. I assure you, it's worth it. It's a nice way of showing 3-phase. It's just loading up now. So share screen. So I need to now tell the oscilloscope that it's got 3 inputs. And there you have perfect 3-phase on the oscilloscope. Like I say, there are a couple of experiments where you would then plug in the current clamp and you can learn about power factor correction. You can see phase shift, but there you have it, a nice visual representation of 3-phase, all at a safe voltage, which again is crucial because even I've been to colleges here in the UK where the colleges has spent a lot on 3-phase equipment that's all at a very high voltage, and whilst it's great, they don't trust the students to get hands-on. With this kit, we feel because of the lack of safety implications, you know, the kit's very safe. Here in the UK, the lecturers are more than happy to allow the students to get hands-on with you know, little lecturer interference because of the lack of safety implications. So that's the 3-phase kit. Any questions on the 3-phase kit, guys? No? Okay. I'm going to just...
Alex, there's one or two things that have come through in the chat. I think in terms of demonstration, Al, does that conclude the demonstration?
For 3-phase, yes. I was just going to introduce the electrical machines as well.
Oh yeah, show us. I don't think you're demonstrating, but you're going to show us the machines in the.
That was it, yeah.
So yeah, if you stop sharing your screen, we'll take a look at those briefly before we address any questions.
Okay, give me just a moment, guys. There might be about 20, 30 seconds of me turning this off and grabbing the electrical machines.
That's fine, Al. Whilst you do that, I've seen a question that's come through about the thoughts of having this type of equipment used by students at home. Certainly in the current climate that we find ourselves in, of course, there's still quite a lot of distance learning going on. Now, these trainers are very much hands-on sets of equipment. So we do sort of find these are lab-based equipment most of the time. However, the sort of price point and the size and the storage of them means that we do have a number of schools and colleges out in the US who are sort of capable of getting these kits sent home with students to work on for a day or two. So yes, there's certainly a possibility because of the low concerns regarding safety for most of the kits that we've presented to you today to be used from home. But of course, it just involves the school or whatever taking inventory of those as they go in and go out. The other point to make, just before Alistair shows this kit, I don't think we're going to see this working, but we're just going to take a quick look at it visually. But this kit that we've got on the screen now, which is the electrical machines kit for the motors equipment, this kit, interestingly, is controllable over Ethernet. And so through an Ethernet connection, students can remotely control these machines using the lab software that we provide with them. So some of the equipment that we've got at Matrix, we have some robotics equipment in the same vein as well, can be controlled remotely by students. So some equipment is, yes, usable at home. Certainly most of the stuff we've talked about today. Some of the other stuff can be remotely controlled. And so at the moment, we're finding that we are getting quite a lot of pull from schools because of the distance learning measures that are in place. Sorry, Al, go on.
Yeah, no problem. Thanks for that, Liam. So basically, guys, Liam has already touched on the electrical machines earlier. So I don't want to go into too much detail, but this is the control box. Now, you can actually use the electrical machines using solely the control box without the software on your laptop or your PC. You can control it via just this box as well. Now, you can see here, this is where you would attach a load to the dynamometer, and you can increase that there. You've got various, this is the power section. You can attach two DC power, and then you've got your AC power there. So this is what we call the control box. In the back of the control box, as Liam says, there is an Ethernet port, which is, again, particularly of interest at the moment due to distance learning. And the
connections on the control box as well are all 4mm shrouded connections. And quite a few of the questions and comments that have been brought up in the chat are around safety. And of course, with Matrix, we only work at low voltage, really. Nothing that we supply goes into the realms of mains electricity or anything. So you're talking about 12, 24 volt systems with 4mm shrouded connectors. So safety is of paramount importance from our perspective. And that's why a lot of the kit that we supply, yes, can be used by students in their own home at the moment if it's a necessity, for sure.
So
Cheers, Liam.
Excuse me,
Sorry?
are there risks at home that they need to be aware of?
Sorry, Jeff, I didn't catch that question.
Are there risks at home that the instructors need to be aware of?
Very, very minor risks. I mean, whenever there are any risks with our equipment, what we'll do is ensure that they're outlined in the user manual, whether it be in the curriculum or a separate manual that we have to provide with the equipment. But because we're working at such low voltages with our kit, I've never come across any situations where there are concerns over student use at home. So I think we're on a kind of safe ground from that perspective. Yes.
Okay, guys. So you can see here in the camera, this is what we call the dynamometer. Now, the dynamometer, you have to load all of the machines through this tracking system. The control box actually has a feature that's built in that won't allow it won't allow it to start unless the motor is correctly in place. Again, it's a safety feature because it will not allow any moving parts. So you basically feed that down the tracking and so that it's loaded onto the dynamometer. This here is a DC motor, 24 volts, 50 watts. This is a single phase AC motor. I think Liam went into detail on all the different motors in particular. So I won't go into all the details, but this is a brushless. We also here have the 3-phase. There's, I think, 6 in total. 7 if you include the dynamometer. Is that right, Liam?
Yeah, that's right.
Yep. We also have, sorry, just going to grab a couple more, universal series motor and the shunt motor 24 volts there as well. And the idea is that, particularly for electrical installation, you're learning about the different characteristics of each motor, why you and that sort of thing. So voltages, current, and that sort of thing. Have you anything to add on the electrical machines, Liam?
No, not at all. I think if you can just make me the host finally, Al. The last thing I want to do is, again, just not related to the electrical machines, but the last thing that I want to do is to just show you again, so that you can see it. And I'm sure that Jeff and the guys, the team at TechEd Systems will share this with you. But this here is our learning center. On the Matrix website, matrixtsl.com/learning, you can filter this down to specific subject area or product range. So what we have here is the various curriculums. For example, here we've got the electrical installation curriculum for electrical machines. When we open that up, you'll find that this is student-led. There are a number of activities. There's a whole section on getting set up and getting started with the kit and anything that you need to do prior to getting sort of involved with them. The other thing is, I mentioned earlier that safety, whenever it's a concern, we do ensure that it's outlined there and any students have a read. And again, for the electrical machines kit, probably the most dangerous part of it is the fact that the machines are a little bit heavy, but you know, they're not exactly overly heavy. You could see Alistair there was picking them up with one hand very comfortably. Then they go through tour of the kit, and then it's a range of activities. So it's student-led. There is obviously a requirement for the instructor, the lecturer, to kind of outline some key principles and to do some of the experimentation with the students. But much of it is about the students working through this potentially on their own. And it's the same for the Locktronics equipment as well. So I just wanted to finally outline that to you. And again, just to explain that on the Learning Center here, all of our curriculum is there, and we'll ensure that links are sent to you after this session. Okay, so I think that concludes what we want to talk about. Again, I am keen to hear from any of you and how you think this might fit into your students' study, or ask any questions that you might have. So I guess this is over to you. We'll give you a bit of time to ask any questions you've got.
Hey, gentlemen, I really like what you have here. I think the year one kit is fantastic, and I'm definitely interested in a price point. I'm a teacher at Orange Ulster BOCES. We actually have 3 electrical teachers in our school, but I'm also very friendly with a number of the other instructors: Southern Westchester BOCES, Northern Westchester BOCES, Rockland BOCES, Ulster BOCES. We have a pretty tight-knit group here, and we've been using the NCCER curriculum for a number of years. NCCER is switching to an online testing format that is really kind of cost prohibitive. So I was wondering, is your curriculum approved by the Department of Education in New York State?
No, it is not, Kevin. Okay. It is not approved by that, no. I don't know, particularly because we're UK based. I don't know the steps. Maybe the guys at TechEd, Cheryl or Jeff, are more familiar with the potential processes in order to have it approved. I don't know much about that personally. I do know that we have other BOCES. I think the one that Jeff mentioned earlier was Eastern Suffolk, yes, who are already using the equipment for Locktronics within their automotive departments there. So I know that we've already got some of this equipment set up in other BOCES in the New York region. So it's interesting to sort of hear what you said there. And yeah, forgive me, but I'm not overly familiar. Is there anything you want to add, Jeff, to that at all?
I think Cheryl can add.
Yeah, so Kevin, 2 questions. Is the NCCER, is that test both a hands-on test and a written component, or is it just written?
It's both. It has a yes, a multi-process hands-on approach per module. And then they have, that's how the state essentially is allowing us to utilize their curriculum, because that's the industry standard exam, I guess you could say.
Because the other area that we've seen, that I've seen widely accepted by New York State is the NOCTI exam.
Right.
And we'd have to look at that, because I think that's something that we might be able to do in alignment with the NOCTI exam, if that would be a suitable solution for you.
Okay. I mean, we've been fairly happy with the NCCR curriculum up to this point, and I'm actually still very interested in the kits because, again, with this remote learning, to be able to send something home if it's within our budget, you know, I'm actually currently quarantined for 14 days because one of my students was tested positive. So it's, you know, to be able to send some, you know, equipment home so the kids can continue working is fantastic. Because up to right now, my hands-on component is, you know, for when they're quarantined, is drawing out line diagrams and scaling room drawings. You know, that's about all I feel comfortable sending them home with, because God forbid I send them home a you know, a board, you know, with circuitry on it, and somebody decides to, you know, cut off an extension cord and try and plug it in to say, all of a sudden, you know, we have a liability that I don't feel comfortable providing. So we're, you know, something like this would really truly be an awesome tool to be able to provide. So I'm hoping that the price point is reasonable and something that our administration would be interested in.
And it was the level 1 that you're interested in the pricing on, is that right?
I can, I'll be honest with you, I'm kind of interested in all of them. I also teach a 2nd-year apprenticeship for a company called USIS. They're an international company based out of Orangeburg, New York, or Pearl River, New York. And we have a 5-year apprenticeships, Department of Labor apprenticeship. So again, something like this, especially when you get into the machines, that's potentially another home run, because like you said, trying to explain 3-phase power to guys that are typically not exposed to it is, you know, this would be a huge advantage. So
Great.
That sounds good. Kevin, how many students do you have per class? And how many classes?
Currently, we have an AM and a PM that's split. It's 18 students in the morning, 19 in the afternoon, but there's also 2 other instructors that each have approximately 20 kids per class.
Okay.
And then our night school, we're 20 apprentices per class.
Thanks for that, Kevin.
Absolutely.
Cheers. Okay. Does anyone else have any comments regarding how this might meet their student needs, learning objectives, any questions, anything like that? I'm sure that Jeff, Cheryl, Shane, and the guys at TechEd will share with you pricing upon request very quickly. So please don't hesitate to get in touch with them if you have any questions on that front, or indeed with me or Alistair, and we'll pass the message on.
How about the gentleman from Somerset? Number 1, I want to hear what you're drinking. And number 2, what questions do you have? Are you still there?
We're still here. We're not drinking.
Somebody else is drinking, I know.
Of course.
It's Goose Island time.
Oh, one guy's saying Goose Island.
It's Goose Island.
Okay, good IPA. Any questions there?
Our bigger discussion was just the general, trying to get students to be able to take things home. Like, obviously some of the trainers wouldn't work, but some of them look like they could because they're low voltage. And I guess that's fine, but and they're more click and play, so there weren't really tools too many involved. And that's, you know, our bigger concern, what the safety risks and those kind of things would be, how we could push that to our admin, that we can still trying to get kids, when we're teaching virtually, to get things at home.
I think from my perspective, I've seen in other parts of the US as well, this coming up quite a lot, where at the moment there's a need for this online learning and distance learning and students being able to take stuff home. And this is probably going to be ongoing for a number of months yet, probably the majority, if not all, of this academic year. So any equipment that you can use for this purpose to get you guys through this year is great. I think the good thing about what we have to provide as well is that it's not only going to be equipment that's used for this particular academic year. I mean, we have in the automotive and aviation sectors, for example, we work with the likes of British Airways, Hyundai, Tesla, Ford. These guys use the equipment for their training of their apprentices and their technicians, essentially. And these guys are using equipment for many years. You know, I think British Airways down at Heathrow Airport in London, I've been down there and they've got cabinets full of this type of equipment that they've had for 20 years that still works perfectly well. So it's not just like this equipment's going to be there and there for the short term to get us through the current challenges that we face, but I think it's there and going to be there as a long-term solution for you when it comes back to lab learning and classroom-based learning in hopefully in the not too distant future. So yeah, I think that's another comment that I'll pass. And I think the other thing I want to just mention as well is, as we went through this, we talked also about the very, very briefly about the kits that we've got for automotive and for aviation, for example. Particularly in automotive, we're just going through a whole program of redeveloping and relaunching kits in the automotive area. And I think between us and Tech Ed Systems, we'll probably look to run a separate automotive session, a little like this, in a few weeks' time. So if you guys have any involvement in automotive or have colleagues involved in that area, keep an eye out, because we'll make sure that we send you the details of that when we have it available.
Ken or Brian, any further comment there? You're both muted, so you'll have to unmute yourselves.
Yeah, no, I mean, you had text me in the chat. Yeah, safety is the biggest issue, but us having to even send the kids home at this point in time to have the kids plug it in, some parents, especially I'm teaching a 10th grade class, so they're a little bit more hesitant for them to be plugging in stuff. I'll take a look at the kits and pass the information on to my department admin and the other electrical teacher that I teach with. We were more so looking at something probably battery based or something to that extent, so that the safety issues with the 10th graders, because they're pretty much, this is the introductory course into electrical. So we would look at to do something battery based. But I mean, if it's something and it's a consent issue with the parents and stuff, we'll probably have to write something up to cover the liability issue.
Just on that point, we do have a separate method of working with Locktronics, which some of the most basic Locktronics experiments can be delivered using battery-based equipment as well. So we have battery carriers, for example, which take batteries essentially, and so Locktronics can also be studied using battery power as well as using the plug top power supplies. So don't kind of rule out Locktronics from that perspective.
Yeah, I know.
Essentially, it's just a separate baseboard that we can supply, which has the battery clips and battery components included. So yeah, just kind of bear that in mind.
Okay.
Ken,
Thank you.
how about you? Thanks, Brian.
So I actually wanted to just ask real quick if does your power supply is it fused? Does it have a circuit breaker included? Okay? Well, that's unfortunately that won't do much for me here. But if it's got the
It'll have a NEMA plug on it for the US.
Yeah, it comes with the US head instead of this one.
Gotcha. Okay.
But Liam, I know that there is safety features built in. Do you know exactly what they are?
Yeah, no, I have the specification. I'll dig it out for you, Kevin, on the on the power supply that we provide. It does come with the international adapters. Obviously, the one it comes as standard, with those adapters. So you make sure that you're receiving that. I will dig out the specification of the power supply that we provide across all of our Locktronics kits. We already have a number of US schools, colleges that are rolling these kits out for student use, both in the classroom and potentially at home as well. And we've never come up against any concerns or challenges on that perspective. But I'll dig it out for you, Kevin, and I'll make a note of that now. Make sure you get hold of it.
Yeah, because I think the base that Kevin's talking about is just that if in case something does overload, there's a trip on the power supply itself, so that it prevents any harm to the person that's using it, or even the circuitry in the house itself. So
yeah, I'm pretty sure it's there, but let me check that out and just inform you all. Cheers.
Ken, how about you?
I found it pretty interesting. We're a relatively small school. My largest class is 10 students. And to be able to send something home like this with them would definitely be an advantageous part of the class. We are actually, I don't know how the other classes are going, the other people here. We do actually have students coming in, and what we've been doing is we're a high school, so we have freshmen on Monday, and I have freshman Monday, sophomores are Tuesday, up to Thursday with seniors. And but we have them for 4.5 hours. They're only coming in for just the shop classes. The regular curriculum is all done online and done on opposite days that they're here. So it's I am getting kids in here, and I think it would be a really good addition to what I have here as far as the teaching parts and stuff, and I think it would be a really good addition to the class. It's just a matter of how we can attain this stuff and get it passed through the administration. We're kind of in a situation because of COVID. I'm not sure if everybody's going through this, but our budget's kind of been limited a little bit, and we had other things that we had to put in place before we could bring the students back in. So that kind of took away a little bit of our budget for new material in the class. So, but the fact that we are having kids come in is a positive thing for us. So, but I waiting to see, I wait to see what the pricing is on this, and if I can get them to approve it, I would surely bring this into the classroom. That's for sure. So,
Great.
so
Ken, is the 7334 number your cell number, or is that the school number?
that's my cell number.
Okay. All right, great. I'll get back to you then.
All right.
What, how many students should we base the quote on? Should it be 10?
Well, I would say a 12 would probably cover everybody, because I'm not sure I would send one home with everybody, but if we were doing it to take home, but as you said before, Liam was saying that you can pair kids up, and that would probably work out. Probably 10 to 12 kids I would be interested in, if we can, and I probably would be more inclined to get the second, not the first kit, but the second kit. I think that would probably be
right.
What we'd be looking for.
Okay, great.
Possibly even to the, moving up into the 3-phase kit as well. But we'll see what we can do.
Okay, excellent. And then Brian, if you needed a specialized time with your administration, you had mentioned that you need to speak to them, and we'd be happy to set up a private discussion with them.
Okay, I'll mention it to my AP and
Great.
relay
And
information.
same thing with everybody else, because as we build the quote, we obviously need this the specifics as to what your needs are, how many kids, et cetera. So we're accurate in providing what you need. Okay.
One quick question: how cross-compatible is the Yale one with the 3-phase unit?
level 1 with 3-phase, did you say?
Yeah. Because we're teaching from 10, 11, and 12, and then we do get into 12th grade into 3-phase motors and to that extent. Is it cross compatible or is it just separate?
I think I'll take that question, Jeff, if you don't mind. That 3-phase includes very little that's in the level 1. In that mainly the 3-phase components that we include are the generator, the motor, the leads, that type of thing. And there's not a hell of a lot of Locktronics included in that 3-phase kit.
Okay.
So I would say that I'd say level 1 and level 2 kits are cross compatible. The level 2 does what the level 1 does. But when you get to 3-phase, you're talking about something separate there, I'd say. Alistair, do you think that's right? Yeah, good.
Okay.
Cheers, Brian.
All right, good. Kevin, anything else for you? Catching everybody up.
Like I said, I'd be very interested in pricing out all the kits. I will certainly be talking to the director of training for USIS too, because I think that 3-phase kit and the motors kit are really just such a great way of showing this stuff. So I mean, if you could potentially give me quoting, I know it's going to be based on quantity, but even if it's just for a demonstration purpose for USIS, and then kind of go from there, certainly I'm very interested in just, if nothing else, just the amount of material that we would save teaching the basic circuitry to our, our junior class, our year 1 class. I mean, we go through hundreds and hundreds of dollars worth of copper, a year, because we're, we want them to get that experience, so.
Yeah, it's consumables, so.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah, if it's possible to at least my preemptive or my discussion with my AP, if I have somewhat of a price point based on a breakdown of quantity per kit, so we'll have an idea as to how much it'll cost us.
Yeah, good. So your pricing isn't going to be that variable in terms of quantity by quantity. So
Okay.
Whether or not you buy for 12 kids or 20 kids, it's going to be about the same per student. So, but we can talk about that. And but I think we're kind of wrapping up here. If anybody else has anything.
I have one more quick question, if you don't mind. As you were talking before with the level 1, level 2 kits, if we were to buy one kit, the level 2 kit would kind of suffice in place of kind of the level 1 kit as well. I mean, if we were going to buy one kit, I think the level 2 kit would probably be the one.
Yeah, that level 2 kit will probably, well, it does. It covers off everything in level 1 as well.
It does. Okay. All right. Yeah, I thought I remember.
Yeah, with the level 2 kit, you've got what you need to deliver level 1 as well. The only point I was making, I guess, was that sometimes people are just wanting to deliver at the most basic level. And as well as that, sometimes people also like to have separate level 1 kits to level 2 because they've got students learning at the same time, or they want to keep the kits separate for whatever reason. But yes, the level 2 kit covers what's in that level 1.
Right. Well, my freshmen and sophomores, they're all meet at different times. We don't, juniors and seniors, we meet together, but at that point they should be past the level 1 kit. So by 4. So.
Great. Well, it looks like we have a commonality amongst instructors, and that is safety at home, that they have to be provided for home use and they have to be safe. And so I think we've gotten that message loud and clear. And so I'll follow up with each of you. And with the curriculum, the question on NOCTI, as Cheryl brought up, and then we'll price each one of these out for you. Is there anything else?
I just want to say thank you. This is definitely a great, great kit, and looking forward to hearing from you guys.
Thanks,
Excellent.
Yep. Same
Yeah,
here.
thanks to everyone. I'll just conclude as well by saying that if anybody sees anything on our website or through any of the other kits that we've not touched upon in this session today, don't hesitate to get in touch with the guys at Tech Ed Systems, and we can always set up a separate one-to-one demonstration or anything over Zoom. You know, these days it's very simple and straightforward for us to do that. If you want to look in anything in any more detail across the whole matrix range. So thanks very much everyone for joining us. Thanks to Alistair. Thanks to the Tech Ed team for setting this up.
Nice to meet you all, guys.
And Brian, if you could send me your telephone number, Brian, I'd appreciate that.
Okay.
I'll email you.
All right, great. Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, Cheryl.
Thanks.
Thank you, guys.
Shane.
Enjoy your day.
Good night. Good afternoon.
Bye.
Bye now.